welcome back to Seek the Joy podcast. Happy Seek the Joy Tuesday. I'm your host, Sydney Weiss, and today I am sharing with you our third session from Seek the Joy Summit. It was our Journaling for Joy session with Sonya Matejko, and this was such an empowering journaling session focused on really connecting to our joy. Sonya is wonderful. She's a writer, yoga teacher, speaker, and storyteller, and she writes stories and helps others tell their stories by empowering them to express themselves both personally and professionally. And journaling has played such an important role in my joy-seeking journey over the last, I can't even tell you how many years. And so as part of Seek the Joy Summit, I really wanted to provide an opportunity for everyone attending to reflect and tap into the power of journaling. And when I was thinking about who could I do this with? Who could I bring on for the summit? Sonya came to mind and it was a total no-brainer, and I'm so grateful that she joined Seek the Joy Summit to lead this session. Now more than ever, I just think it's so important that we have reliable resources that we can turn to. And that's where today's sponsor, BetterHelp, comes in. So I would love to share with you a little bit more about BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. And it's easy and free to change counselors if you don't think the person you've matched with is a good fit. And no matter where you're listening to Seek the Joy podcast right now, you can also use BetterHelp because the service is available for people worldwide too. I just think it's so valuable to talk to someone about what it is that you're going through, whether that's anxiety, depression, grief, loss, changes at work, or friendship dynamics or relationships, or you want to talk about the challenges of the last couple of years. And BetterHelp offers a broad range of expertise in their counselor network. So you'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions too, which I still think is a game changer. I really want you to live a happier, more joyful, and just ease-filled life. That's why I share these conversations with you. And so I'm just excited to share that as a listener of Seek the Joy podcast, you will get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/seekthejoy. Join over 1 million people and counting, taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/seekthejoy. The link will also be included in our show notes. Sonya led such a beautiful journaling session as part of Seek the Joy Summit, and I was so grateful to her for being part of the summit. It was such an incredible day, and I so enjoyed this moment of reflection and introspection, and the feedback that we got for this session too was just off the charts. So this entire episode will be Sonya leading you through the journaling session that we had as part of the summit. I condensed the time. So you'll hear it. There's allocated time in the session to journal. I condensed it because I thought it was kind of awkward on a podcast to have all of this quiet, silent space. So at any point when Sonya introduces a journaling topic, feel free to hit pause, journal away, and then resume the podcast. It is really powerful, the prompts that she provides, and I am just excited to participate in this journaling session again. So I can't wait to hear what you think. I've never shared an episode like this before on the podcast that's sort of interactive in this way. So I can't wait to hear what you think about it and if it's something that we should do more on Seek the Joy podcast. So join the conversation on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We are at Seek the Joy podcast everywhere. I would just love to hear what you are thinking so far about Seek the Joy Summit. And also how is your summer going? Because it is flying by. I cannot believe it is already August. I know I say this every week, but if you haven't already, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get seen by new people and share with anyone who's curious what Seek the Joy podcast is all about. So without further ado, our Journaling for Joy session from Seek the Joy Summit with Sonya Matejko. We are back. I am on cloud 9. After our first 2 sessions this morning with Aiden and then Dr. Linda, AJ, and Josette. You guys are loving it too. I am loving the feedback in the chat. So our next session is journaling for joy. And journaling has played such an important role in my joy seeking journey over the last 3.5 years. And as part of Seek the Joy Summit, I really wanted to provide you all with an opportunity to reflect and tap in to the power of journaling. And so I really couldn't imagine anyone better than Sonya Matejko to lead this session. So Sonya, I'm going to invite you right now to come on up and join me. Sonya is a writer, yoga teacher, speaker, and storyteller, and she really writes stories and helps people tell theirs by empowering them to express themselves, both personally and professionally. So Sonya, thank you for being here. I'm so excited for your session today.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I am pumped to be here, pumped to be with all of you, and I am excited to dive on into our session.
Me too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like an attendee for this. I'm going to go into the back and we're going to let Sonya lead this. It's going to be a beautiful session. Make sure you've got pen, paper, a journal handy. And Sonya, it's all you.
Yay. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you, Sydney, for that amazing introduction. Welcome to Journaling for Joy. And I want us to all kick off by introducing yourself in the chat and including one thing that brings you joy. So let's start off with thinking about all the things that make us happy, that bring that bliss into our lives. So let's start leveraging this chat. We're going to be using it all throughout today's session. So include your name, one thing that brings you joy, and I will get this presentation ready. So let's get to it. Beautiful. So if you haven't already, pop over into the chat, include your name, one thing that brings you joyful, and we will be leveraging that to share throughout. So feel free to open up to continue to use that chat. I want this to be as interactive as possible and make this a true experience that brings that joy out in you today on your morning or afternoon, depending on where you're joining in from. So it looks like we've got joyful things like smiles and coffee with friends, spaces like this, pugs, love that, Jessica, I love pugs too. Self-care and Pilates, love that. Morning walks, so critical. Oh, I'm so glad that writing brings you joy. We're gonna do that today for sure. Writing in nature, dogs, coffee. Oh, I love that. So many things. And it's also pretty cool because I feel like I see a few things that more than one person wrote. So also nice to see how we are connected in the things that bring us joy. So feel free to keep including things in this. I want us to be as joyful as possible. So populate all of your good things. And I'm going to kick off with my presentation. So again, welcome to Journaling for Joy. A little bit about me. Sydney did an amazing introduction. And like she said, I write stories and help other people tell theirs by empowering them to express themselves both personally and professionally. And I built my brand all around storytelling because I truly feel that if people and businesses can find the right words and spread the world, then those authentic stories can truly change the world by us showing up, telling our truth. And that's what we're going to be doing today through the lens of joy. Loving the chat continue to break up, guys. It's so amazing. Okay, so about the workshop, I started doing these virtual journaling workshops at the beginning of the pandemic because I had so many feelings going on. I couldn't make sense of the world. And I was turning to all these blank pages on my journal as a way to get a new perspective and to, really a form of self-care. And I realized how cathartic it was for me. And I wanted to bring that to more people. So I started to join more communities and bring this to more people so that we could share our own stories and recognize that we are not alone and we are all connected in the things that we see in our daily life. And by joining these types of communities, we can really make that experience feel a little less daunting, a little more joyful, and hopefully you'll feel those things today. So we are going to be doing 2 different types of prompts, which are included in all of my journaling sessions. Creative writing, which is like your fictional novel where there are characters and vivid settings and all of the scenes. And there's also expressive writing, which is much more about putting your emotions on paper. And it's less about needing to connect those dots and much more about just pouring your heart onto the pages and not worrying about what it sounds like and removing any judgment from that. But what is beautiful is that creative writing can be expressive and expressive writing can also be creative. And I invite you to see how both of those work for you on your journal pages, which I will pause now to say too, if you have a scrap of paper you're going to be using, a journal, you can also use the notes on your iPhone or anything that feels good to you. So go ahead and take a second to grab that if you haven't already. And then we'll dive into a quick science on the benefits of journaling before we get into our prompts today, because you're going to experience all of this for yourself. So why do we journal? Why was it cathartic for me? Why do so many people find value? I mean, there are tons of articles and studies about this, and truly writing out your feelings and opening up a blank page in your notebook and seeing what comes out can be so good for your emotional, your spiritual, your mental health, all of the things. So some of the benefits that I love the most is that it can improve your mood, your memory, and your overall well-being, in addition to reducing your stress and your anxiety through that act of self-reflection and self-awareness practice. And through journaling, your ideas also will start to take form, and that frees up more bandwidth within your head. So if you think about all of the thoughts that are constantly swirling in your mind, whether it is your dreams or whether it is the things that make you worried, by putting those things onto a piece of paper, it also takes a little bit of that space out of your mind and lets you see it from a different perspective, which then in turn helps you organize those emotions and maybe see them through a different lens, because you're trying to disconnect those thoughts by putting them onto the paper. And it's like an exploration into yourself, which can be really, really healing. And the more that you talk to yourself through your journal, the better it improves your communication with other people around you, through your loved ones, to your coworkers, to strangers that you're meeting. And it allows you to empathize. So with everyone in the world, the better that you get at communicating, the more you can understand someone, especially when you are tapped into your emotional experience. And when you take all of those things together, it truly helps you promote your personal growth and increases your self-awareness, because all of this is a practice of self-awareness and getting to know yourself better, which is a really fun, really beneficial thing to do that ultimately sparks your confidence, brings you more clarity, creativity, and of course, joy. So love this. And something that I think about and joy, and it's funny, I just read a newsletter this morning that touched on this exact same topic, is that joy is not something that you find. It is something that you are. To be joyful is not to have it all. To be joyful is to be content with who you've been and happy with who you are. So joy is not that thing that you can find on your to-do list. It's not that thing that you'll find by buying it in the mall. It is truly something that you can embody by finding these ways to release the things that don't serve you and to really just be yourself, know who you are, and embrace that and allow that joy to shine through. So a little bit of housekeeping items before we dive into the first prompt. I am going to be keeping a timer so that you don't have to worry about how long we have for journaling. We're going to go through 3 different prompts together, and we'll dive into the chat for each of them. Totally optional, but sharing is highly encouraged to make this a fun and interactive experience. And I also love using music, but I know that not everyone does. So I'm going to pop into the chat a binaural beats playlist. So I'm going to keep myself on mute when we are journaling. And if you like to have a little bit of background noise, feel free to use this. It's really, really good for focus. I use it in all of my different journaling sessions. And, or if you liked any other playlist, I encourage you to use that for yourself as well. I will be on mute for those sessions. And our journaling prompts are going to range anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, and to really allow you to have that space to write your heart out. So take a moment, grab any drinks that you need, grab your journal if you don't have it already, and we are going to shortly dive into prompt number 1. And one other note I should mention is that this is a judgment-free zone. So show up with self-compassion. Don't try to find any expectations when you are looking at that blank page. And if you feel like yourself struggling with one of these prompts, then maybe have that conversation with why you're having that struggle or what's coming up for you, and allow your stream of consciousness to just burst onto the page. So have fun with it. And let's begin. So we are jumping into, now we are jumping into prompt number 1. So this one, we're going to keep it nice and simple just to test our writing abilities. I want you to write down how you are feeling today. So this is a nice little check-in, and it doesn't need to be one thing, and it could be 100 things. It might be things that feel like they're contradictory. No judgments here. Like I said, you have 3 minutes on the clock, and go ahead and dive in. Everything that you're feeling, put it out on the page. Let's do this little check-in together. So we have about 30 seconds left for this prompt. If you are already done with your list, feel free to pop back over into the chat and maybe include 1, 2, 3 different feelings that you're having, and let's get a pulse of the entire group. But again, you still have a few more seconds if you want to finish up your list. Keep on journaling, but let's see how this group is feeling on this beautiful Saturday. I am amazed at myself today. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That's an amazing start. Way to go, Wendy. That's amazing. Grateful, relaxed, and hopeful, safe, calm, and inspired, joyful. Love to see that joy coming in already. Inspired and grateful. Beautiful. So about 10 more seconds on this prompt, and when you're done, pop it over into the chat if you're comfortable, whatever you are feeling today through this journaling session. Content, beautiful. Calm, relieved. Mixed feelings, totally understandable, especially in today's crazy, crazy world. Exhausted, relieved, hopeful, curious, okay to lay low. Yes. See, you guys are already super self-aware. So being able to point to these emotions, being able to notice that you are feeling these things, especially the ones that are mixed, and you could be both tired and wonder. 2 things that seem like, should I be feeling both at the same time? But truly there is no should when it comes to how we are feeling, because we could be on both ends of the spectrum, every side of the spectrum when it comes to our emotional bandwidth. So I love this. Let's keep using this chat. So good. I love this. Thank you guys for being so open already. So we're going to move into prompt number 2, and you're going to have a little bit more time for this one. So we're going to be here for about 4-ish minutes. Again, I'm keeping that clock, so don't worry about how long it's going to take you. For this one, to really spark that joy, I want you to think of the happiest moment and memory of your life. And then I want you to retell it like you are telling an old friend. So maybe it's that friend that you haven't seen in the last year. Maybe you've only seen on FaceTime or on Zoom. Imagine that you're getting to see them again over brunch or over a walk in the park or anything like that. And you are telling them about this happy, happy memory. So I'm putting time on the clock, and go ahead and dive on in. All right, guys, about 20 or so seconds wrapping up, retelling your happiest moment, retelling this memory to an old friend. And if your journal entry is already in, feel free to pop into the chat and maybe summarize what that happy memory was and sharing with the group all of these moments of joy. Moved to Sweden. I actually wrote mine was moving to New York as well. So I love that. I'm with you, Francesca. In about 10 or so seconds, wrapping up prompt number 2. We've got one nice, juicy, and joyful prompt after this one. Strolling through New York with coffee. Yes, yes, yes. Going to Chinatown with my best friend, spending quality time there. Love that. So good. Singing at the Vatican. That's pretty incredible. Way to go, Jessica. I love that. Waking up to a Rocky Mountain sunrise. Oh my God. I would love to see pictures of that. That sounds beautiful. Learning water skiing. Wow, you guys have all very cool lives. I love this. Meeting my first grandchild. So sweet. Happiest at a concert. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for concerts to come back, guys. Oh, my first date with my husband. I love that so much. When my son was born, giving birth to a healthy son despite other predictions by doctors. Love that. Congratulations to you, Beth. That's beautiful. I love this. Okay, guys, keep using this chat. Keep sharing your joyful moments. And we are going to jump into our final prompt together for prompt number 3. And I think that a lot of you have been mentioning people, so perhaps you'll want to use them as your inspiration for this one. We are going to be writing to someone who brings you joy into your life. So for this one, imagine that you are writing them a postcard, telling them how much they mean to you, what joy in your life means, and how they inspire that in you. So imagine you're writing this out to them, and maybe you even want to tear this page out of your journal and send them some snail mail. Who doesn't love snail mail? That isn't Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, you know? So go ahead and open your journals again. I'm going to put the clock on. You have 4 minutes for this one as well. And you are off. All right, guys, wrapping up our final prompt. You have another 30 or so seconds. And if you are already done with your postcard, pop in this person who brings you joy in your life into the chat. Let's celebrate and acknowledge all of these incredible people that we are each lucky and blessed to have in our lives. So pop over into the chat or finish up your postcard. If you are still writing, you still have a few seconds left. And then we only have 2 minutes left. So I will quickly wrap this up to get ready for our next incredible presentation. So pop over into the chat. Let's celebrate those people. And at the same time, I have a bonus prompt for you that we are not doing in today's session, but I encourage you to screenshot this if you want to continue journaling on your own time. So if you could spoil a good ending for your younger self, what 3 things would you tell them? So screenshot this, maybe do this later tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe a month from now when you feel like you need to dive back into your journaling sessions. So this is an extra little prompt for you to have fun with. Who knows what's going to come up? I think that this is a really fun exercise. And love that you guys are celebrating grandparents, boyfriends, husbands, mothers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So incredible. So screenshot this. It'll also be in the recording if you get it. If you have any questions, There are a bunch of ways to stay connected with me. I answer every email. One of my clients, Antoinette, is in here, so she can attest to me answering every email. And that's my website, my email. Pop journaling questions over to me if you have any. DM me, whatever you would like. I am here to answer any of those, whether it is how to journal, what time to journal, how long to journal, extra prompts. I'm here for it. So thank you all so much for being vulnerable and open and expressing your joy today. And I'm going to hand it all back to Sydney, who has done an incredible job putting this all together so she could bring on the next session. Thanks all.
Seek the Joy podcast is a production of Seek the Joy Media and created, produced, and hosted by me, Sydney Weiss. You can tune into all of our episodes on your favorite podcast platform, and if you're enjoying the show, hit follow and leave us a 5-star rating and review. Make sure to join the community, join the conversation on our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We are at Seek the Joy Podcast everywhere, and don't forget, you can actually watch today's new episode and all of our episodes on our brand new YouTube channel. Click that link in the show notes to subscribe and tune in. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you right back here next week for another Seek the Joy Tuesday.